Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m., so you know what's up. We're live right here at Syndicate headquarters in Austin, Texas. I'm Tony Merwin. That is the man, the myth, the power, the man of the hour, the Tower of Power. You know it all. Mr. Joe Campert, the king of trucking. What is happening?
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for the intro, Mr. Merwin. We are here, as he said, live within Syndicate headquarters, 9 a.m. Central every single week. We have an action-packed show for y'all. We are excited to get into it. But you guys know, real quick, let us know in the comments that you can hear and see us, and let us know where you're tuning in from. And then before we get going, as always, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions, who are our guest, if you guys can't tell, who will be joining us today. He's actually good friends with Viva as well, but shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions, everything that y'all do here within the Insurance Syndicate. Shout out to Lily Davies. I know y'all see her within the comments, and shout out to Rob Lopez. Rob shot us a testimonial and sent us that yesterday. And thank you, Rob. That means a lot coming from you, man. And seriously, if y'all are in the market for a virtual assistant, highly recommend checking out Viva. They just do an exceptional job. So let us know again where you're tuning in from and that you can hear and see us. What's up, Todd? I see you in there. Lily, as always. What up, Flip? I see Jeremy in here as well. What's up, Jeremy? I love seeing all your AI stuff, bro. Again, let us know you can hear and see us. Start dropping those weekly wins in the comments too, because y'all know what time it is and what day it is. I mean, it's the peak of the week. The show is called Winning on Wednesday because we're all about those weekly wins. Start dropping them in the comments. We want to celebrate you. It doesn't matter how big or how small. Drop those weekly wins in the comments. Mr. Merwin, go ahead and kick us off. What you got, my man?
Dude, finally getting the home remodel work underway. It's been a stressful thing a little bit, just trying to figure out the order of operations and get people teed up for it, yada, yada. But finally, we're going to, quote unquote, break ground today on getting some of that work done. So excited, finally.
Love that, dude. I've got a few weekly wins. We didn't have softball last night, so I can't share about hitting any dingers because it didn't happen. I would probably say Father's Day weekend. Father's Day weekend was awesome for me. And just, again, some of y'all maybe saw my post, but had some time to reflect a little bit on Sunday and was just thinking about, you know, how the last 6 years of fatherhood has translated into my business. And even just recently, like, I have this new kind of like fire under my ass. And I think a lot of it's because of my kids, specifically, you know, Laura, where that chick is just mimicking and listening and watching any and everything you do. And so, yeah, I think that would be my weekly win, is just kind of that reassurance of one, she is listening to you and watching you. And so she likes you and she cares about you. I know she's only 6. But also, again, what that's doing within the business, it's got me excited, man. A little fire lit under my ass. So
excellent. Happy belated Father's Day again, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let us know how you do it.
What's up, Rob? Good to see you on here, man. Drop those weekly wins in the comments, y'all. We want to celebrate you. But I mean, without further ado, I want to go ahead and get into the show. Y'all have seen Jeff. He has been prominent here within the Insurance Syndicate for probably a couple of years now, as long as I've been working with him. And we're really excited to have him on the show, not just because of his tech stack and his CRM and Pluto. You guys see me rocking the shirt. I've been using it for years, but more so because you see it in the description. He was one of us, and I still consider him one of us. So he came from the actual agency side of things before he ever even went out and built what we're going to take a look at today. But we're going to hear a little bit more about the agency before we get into Pluto. So without further ado, everybody give a nice warm welcome to Mr. Jeff Grimm. What's going on, my man?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing well, man. It's good to see you. Good to have you back on the show.
No offense to your shirt, Tony, but I kind of like Joe's a little bit better.
Well,
maybe I need to send one your way.
There you go.
Well, real quick, Jeff, before we get going, man, I mean, rumor has it that they used to call you a kickstand and tripod in college. Is that true?
I didn't really think you were going to say that.
I wasn't going to, and I was like, now I have to say it. Now I have to.
They did not, but that would have been a great thing.
That's hilarious, man. No, I'm just messing with you. Jeff, real quick, man, for anybody that doesn't know you, just give them a 30,000-foot overview. Who is Jeff Grimm and kind of what are you up to, man?
Jeff Grimm, who is he? I guess former insurance agent, owned an agency for 15 plus years, decided to exit a couple years back. And really since then, and even while I was running the agency, just kind of got involved in the tech and marketing space and kind of found a new love there.
Love that. Love that. What's a weekly win for you? I saw you post recently. We've started to get some traction, but I'll let you share that.
Yeah, that was gonna be it. It's whenever you launch something new and no one's ever heard of it, it takes a little bit of time, especially when you're going against players that have been out there forever. So this last week is one where we're starting to get the Pluto name out there. We're starting to gain some traction. So this has been one of our best weeks in terms of onboarding new agents.
Love that.
Excellent.
Love that, man.
Exciting.
So I was telling you a little bit backstage, but before we even get into Pluto, really just wanted to kind of speak with you about, because again, I think a lot of members here and a lot of people really that are just in the industry, I mean, the goal is to hopefully exit at some point, and exit at a 7-figure exit is ultimately definitely the goal as well. So I kind of wanted to spend some time here, man, because I think there's a lot of value and there's a lot of power in that story and how you were able to even build to exit to get to the point to be able to launch some new stuff and kind of pursue this new passion of, and I say new, but just pursue this passion of yours through Pluto and through SalesPype and everything like that. So take us back, man. I guess what even got you into insurance, and then kind of what were those first few years like when you were getting the agency up off the ground?
Sure. Well, I mean, I had a very strange route to insurance. I was actually in medical sales and pharmaceutical sales prior to ever going into the insurance space. But I always knew I wanted to own a business, and one of my neighbor's sons owned a state farm. And so he just happened to be over one time. I think he was watching the Masters with his family. So like, hey, come on over, chat with him a little bit. Let him share his opportunity. And so that was kind of my first introduction to insurance. And so, of course, I went through their whole process or whatever. And I got going with it. I went through their whole program, training, became a scratch agency. You wait till a location opens up. If you've ever been in the State Farm world, you kind of understand how that flow goes. But I knew nothing about insurance. Even in my training, I had never even sold a policy because they put you in an agent's office before you open up. So I literally went in clueless. And it was like the day after Halloween, and I'm just sitting in there thinking, how the hell am I going to do this? I don't know anything. So I opened that State Farm, and honestly, within the first month, we beat everybody in our region in terms of like overall sales. And it shocked me, I think, as much as it shocked everybody else. And so I started growing. I started developing a name for myself at State Farm. We were always leading the region. And then I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I said, well, captive is good. There's opportunities there, but I think I can make a bigger impact on the independent side. And I'm also someone that loves freedom. So when you're a captive, of course, they restrict what you can do, what programs you can use, what technology, where you get leads, what are your outside business activities. They want a lot of control. And that just didn't really fit my personality or kind of my long-term goals. So after 3+ years, I made the move and I went independent. So basically, State Farm, started from scratch, 0 policies, grew it up. Gave it all back to State Farm when I left, which was brutal. Of course, I had a non-compete, and then I went independent, started scratch once again, and there I was. It was just like deja vu from where I was 3 years ago. How am I going to grow this thing again?
Right.
So I just had to really figure it all out on my own. I didn't know how you build a website. I didn't know SEO. I didn't understand how do you get a Google business page up and running. I just didn't really know any of that stuff, and so I was on a limited budget at that point because I had to give up on my clients. And so I just became a student of everything marketing, everything SEO, everything technology. And it was brutal at the beginning, no doubt. I mean, there were times where I'm thinking, do I stop? Do I give up? Do I close it? In the back of my head, I'm thinking, am I going to go bankrupt? I mean, you're spending so much money while you're trying to build an insurance agency and you don't make anything until you start kicking in those renewals. So I definitely had those days, those long nights. I sold about everything I own when I was starting, when I was at my second, when I was starting the independent agency. I mean, I sold my homes, I sold my furniture, anything that I could sell, I sold. I became like a Dave Ramsey guru. I was watching him every night and thinking, all right, what else can I sell? What else can I sell? And I even moved into my sister's basement.
Wow.
just to try to get my costs low. So I gave up everything that I had built when I went independent. And fortunately, things started to turn around. I started getting some leads coming through. We started closing some policies there. And it was like that light that went off. It's like, okay, I can actually do this. I'm going to get through this. Just enough confidence to keep going further into debt, but just knowing that, okay, it's moving in the right direction and eventually I can get out of this. So that was kind of my transition. And, fast forward 15 years, I decided it was time for me to move on. And I ended up selling it to one of the guys that had been with me all the way back to my State Farm days. And he's continuing to crush it and grow there. So it was a huge journey. Obviously there's tons of ups and downs along the way, but fortunately it all worked out.
It's something that's always a question that I like to ask is like, when you lose it all, you brought up confidence, right? And I think that's something that a lot of agents, and I know that we have people in this group that have gone through the lost it all, whether that was through a crappy contract or whether it was, transitioning from a captive to independent side of things, or there's again, ebb and flow with that. There's many reasons that could cause that. What was it outside of that confidence? You said you knew, man, I just know, right? Where does that come from? And what do you think were kind of the few factors that allowed you to push through the, really kind of the doubt, right? Because it's like, dude, I just lost everything. And then, man, I got to do it again. And I'm starting to see like, dude, I've already sold everything. I have nothing else to sell. Like, what was it? What was that mindset? Because I know that, can definitely speak. And a lot of agents will relate to that here.
It's so hard to describe. I mean, you guys are entrepreneurs. You've been there. So you kind of get it. If you take the entrepreneurial path, I think it's just something that's in you, and you quickly figure out if you have it or you don't. Because 99% of the world is just not fit to be an entrepreneur, and at some point they're gonna feel that fear, and it's gonna take over, and they're gonna say, okay, I got to go back to a corporate job. And so I've just personally never had the personality where I give up. Even when I should give up, I don't. When it would make sense financially, emotionally, whatever, I don't really have that in me. So I'm going to fight as long as I can to make something work. So I don't know how much of it is just built into you as a person versus, can you acquire that? I don't know. But for me, it's just, I don't like to lose. I don't like to give up. And I've always just figured, you haven't really lost until you officially, walk away and give up. So you may be losing right now. It doesn't mean you're going to lose overall. So that's just kind of been my philosophy.
What were the terms of your non-compete that you said you had when you left State Farm and went independent?
I think it was 2 years and all contact information. So, I couldn't reach out to anyone that I knew. I couldn't, grab my database and go through and start reaching out to those people. So essentially everything. There was nothing that I could do. The only thing I could do is if someone happened to find me and I hadn't solicited to them, then I had the ability to offer them a quote. But they had to reach out to me.
Understood.
No, they shut me down.
The reason I ask that, I hear agents talk about it a lot, and a lot of times they'll use that as an excuse for why they were no longer in the business, or why it was hard, or maybe why they didn't make the leap from captive to independent, because they know they're going to have to go through that phase. Sure. So I was just kind of curious if you found that incredibly, I guess, did it create a lot of resistance for you and create problems when you made that switch? Or is it like, it's just one of those things. I can't talk to those people, but that's not the only people out there buying insurance. So I'm just going to go over here and find new people.
Yeah, I'm sure. No one wants to give up what they've built. And it was definitely a roadblock, but I knew that going into it. When I was closing down, I knew this was going to be the case. So I had to figure things out. And so to me, it's just like, all right, whatever, move on. There's not much I could do about it. I just need to go out there, generate leads, find new prospects, and get this thing going. So,
right.
Yeah. I have a personal question for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Because so Jeff he's the tech guy, right? He's the guy behind the scenes that makes it all work with all the automations and building out literally any and everything. But who is the guy behind the screen, right? In the back office. So, personal question for you: when you were starting over,
is there someone behind me?
Okay. What was that like? Because again, I think this will give other agent owners and really just even sales agents, producers, whatever you want to call them here within the group. What was that like at home, starting over, right? Because I think as entrepreneurs, as business owners, a lot of what happens at the house bleeds over into the business and vice versa. right? So when the business is full restarting and I'm selling everything and I'm moving, I know you're a family man too, or I don't know if you were married at that point yet. What was like that? Like, did it spill over into home? Was it stressful? What would be some advice to anybody that may be going through that?
So my scenario was different when I was at State Farm. Those were my days. It was just me and my dog.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a family right now, yes, it would have made it a million times harder to make that decision, because as soon as you have kids, you have real responsibilities, you have people you got to take care of. So not to say I wouldn't have done it, but it would have been a much more difficult decision, and I would have had to have a lot more reserves and a lot more things. Back then, when I left State Farm, I want to say I was 30. So 30, single, it was just me. And so the only person I could mess up was myself. And so that was an easier scenario. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't enjoy thinking back to those days because it was brutal. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for anyone. I mean, those were probably like my darkest days when I was making that transition, thinking, did I make the right decision when I left captive? Did I do it? Because I had finally gotten to the point where I was making a decent living, and I just threw it all away. And so then you're there. Now all of a sudden you're broke again. You're going debt. You're like, huh. So yeah, I mean, it was tough, but again, just kind of came back to, I believe I can accomplish things. That's just who I am, and I think it's just a matter of figuring it out. But yeah, it definitely bled over to my life. But unfortunately, it was just me, and I wasn't affecting a spouse or kids or anything like that.
Yeah, you had mentioned moving into your sister's basement. So outside of her extending her basement to you,
actually, she probably didn't. I affected her, I guess, because she probably didn't like having me in the basement back then. But
yeah, I was just kind of curious. Was she supportive, or was she like, Jeff, why don't you just go get a real job?
That's a tough one. So yes, my family's always been supportive, but at the same time, my family's a lot more safe than I am.
Right.
So whether it was my dad or my mom, my sisters, even the first time I left, they're like, well, why would you leave? You're making good money as a drug rep. You got a company car. You got a company mesh. You got what? Why would you go do this? So if someone's not an entrepreneur, they don't really get it. So yes, there were plenty of times there, where there's probably on their end, like, is this right? Is this what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, whatever I choose, my family's always been supportive of it.
Good.
Love that. So let's talk. We're talking about accomplishments here, right? Obviously, you were able to make it. You were able to fast forward and exit, and what was even, I love that part too, where you actually got to exit to the person that's helped you build the whole thing, even back from the captive, and restarted with you. And like I think there's a lot of power to that story as well. But just so as far as accomplishments go, best practices for a new agent that's starting scratch. How were you able to do what you did to where you got to a 7-figure exit, and obviously now doing what you're doing with Pluto? Best practices, how to go out and get clients, systems, processes, like go through some of that, how you built that, and then we'll kind of bridge over into the system once we kind of go through that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I made plenty of mistakes and things that I would change if I went back again. But for me personally, and I don't think this would be the case for everyone, but I had to learn the marketing stuff because my job was to bring in prospects. And if I didn't have an unlimited budget to go buy leads and things like that, I had to figure it out. So back then, no one was doing YouTube. Like everybody's doing content now, but back then I was unique. So I was going out there, I was filming YouTube videos. I was figuring out how do you make the videos like the faceless things where it's just the, Animoto and all these different players were out there. So I was building up a YouTube channel, and I learned to rank them on the first page easily. So I was just dominating everything there. I learned about Google Business. So if you're a new agent, I think you have to learn marketing. I don't think you have a choice until you can go out and you can hire someone for that. You have to understand the basics. Get a website up, even if it sucks. Just get something up there. Get a Google Business page set up. It's free. You could probably learn half of what you need to do to rank a Google Business page just by watching YouTube videos. But that was a huge win for me. I mean, I got to the point that I had Google Business listings throughout every major city in Michigan, and I was ranking in the top 3 results. So these were all things where I was just, slowly putting the pieces of the puzzle together in terms of marketing and driving the leads to my business. So if I hadn't figured out that aspect of it, I don't think I would have made it, because quite honestly, I don't really enjoy selling. It's, I never sold a ton of policies. I sold what I had to survive until I could hire people. And then I just said, okay, I'm the marketing guy. My job is to feed them with leads, and then they close the business. So yeah, I think you have to figure out the marketing side of things. Watch your budget. If I go back and say, be very careful with your budget. Make sure you have enough in reserves to survive long enough. Otherwise, you're just throwing it away. And when you can, hire someone, because it's really, really hard to do everything on your own.
Yeah. I think there's a piece to that too, though. You're right, where you want to understand at least the basics of it so that when you do hire somebody, I know we were actually, I think, just recently talking about this of just, I can't remember what show that was, where basically you're like, hey, I learned it and then I brought somebody on and it was just kind of like, okay, I've kind of learned it. So now I know if they're not doing their job or not. And then you ended up actually being able to fire your marketer because you learned how to do it better than what they were doing for you. So I think that's really important too. And just, I hope anybody that's watching this is listening to that, like learn a little bit of it before you start, outsourcing or even just spending thousands of dollars with a company and you don't even know if they're actually doing their job. Right.
Yeah. You got to be able to speak the lingo enough that you can communicate with them and have at least a little bit of oversight to realize that are they really doing the job or is it just smoke and mirrors?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I spent like when I first went when I went independent, I hired some firm out of Chicago and I had them build a website and they were going to be doing supposedly SEO for me. And it was like $3,000 a month. And back then that was a ton of money to me. And I saw zero results. And I think I had the most ridiculous logo I've ever seen. So it was just awful. So if I hadn't, taken a little bit of time after that to figure it out on my own, then the next company would just take advantage of me as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's talk about SalesPype. Let's switch to kind of systems. Obviously, I know Pluto is now the insurance specific CRM, which we're going to show you all that here shortly. But I know this part of your story, and I know a lot of people that also have other systems or other services that they've offered. It's been even speaking of Viva, it's kind of how Viva even came to fruition, was out of the own necessity of their own agency, right? Where Rob, they're like, how are you doing this, Rob? And he's like, through this. And then turns out, what he was doing with his agency then turned into, this huge virtual assistant company. And I know that was very similar, at least in your upbringing with SalesPype, where, dude, I built it for me. And then it's turned into, whoa. So talk through SalesPype and then maybe the decision to kind of refine and get back to your roots of Pluto. And then we'll bring up Pluto and we can show everybody the dashboard and everything.
Yeah. So the reason that I created SalesPype, a similar problem a lot of agencies have had. You're trying to figure out what tech to use inside your office. So one thing can do this, one thing can do that. So you end up with this huge tech stack of all kinds of monthly subscriptions, and it can't do everything you want. You're duct taping it together. So I tried to figure out something to use in my own agency. I couldn't really find it. And I said, what the hell? I'll just go on like Upwork, I think is where I started, just an outsourcing freelancing site. Let me just put an idea out there and see if anyone has anything or someone can build it for me. And so it just started as this basic tool where I wanted to make sure that if I'm giving all these leads to my team, they had some type of system in place where it's going to at least automate the outreach to some extent if they're not doing a good job of following up with their own. And so originally it was just, hey, I get a new lead, I funnel it into a campaign, it sends an email or a text, things like that. And so I was building it for my insurance agency, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I said, all right, well, this is working pretty good. And I'm talking to some other people and they think it sounds really cool. So why don't I take it from being more of an internal software tool and turn it into something that I can actually resell as what is called a SaaS, like software as a service. And so I launched it, and I don't even know how people found me, but I thought I was building it for insurance because that's how I was using it. But all these different marketing agencies started finding me. And they were working with loan officers, real estate agents, whatever. They're generating the leads for them, and they just needed some type of system to handle the follow-up. So all these guys started finding me, and then it completely derailed my mission, to be honest with you, because I thought I was building insurance, but now all these marketing agents are coming to me like, hey, we deal with loan officers and this niche and that niche. And so it just took me chasing this feature and that feature, trying to make everybody happy. And these are the days when companies like High Level didn't even exist. So I was like High Level before High Level existed. And then they came out, and of course they became huge. But back then I was the only player in town for marketing agencies. So they were all coming to me, and I was catering my system to meet their needs. And so we got pretty big at one point. Marketing agencies became my biggest clients. And quite honestly, I just got sick of working in that space. And we have like 4,000 clients still at SalesPype. So it's still big over there, but I don't enjoy creating a generic CRM and then trying to make it work for a specific industry. It's very hard. And whether you're high level or any kind of generic CRM, Zoho, HubSpot, whatever, those are all great tools, but they can only take it so far or go so deep into a particular niche because that's just not their use case. So I said, all right, well, let's take SalesPype and let's just build on top of that and create a version of it just for insurance. And so that's when I broke off, said, all right, let's launch under the name Pluto. And there were probably 3 months where we're just behind the scenes changing things. Insurance agents work as teams. Typically, that's not really how SalesPype was designed. People like global pipelines, global tags, all these different things that didn't really exist in our core platform. We didn't have a way to track the insurance companies you represent or your premium or policies. So it was just taking our core system and updating it to match insurance. And then now that I've launched it, everything we're doing inside of Pluto, all the dev, all the money is going towards how do we continue to make this software evolve just for the insurance industry.
Yeah.
So rather than taking that generic thing and say, hey, figure it out, make it work for you. No, now I can really take a deep dive into everything and just figure out, what are the tools that insurance agents need.
Yeah, absolutely. Which again,
it's way more fun. It's way more fun going into a niche.
Well, and you were an agent for 15 something years, dude. So it's like, I think again, just on the end user side, I can see that it's being created by an insurance agent, right? I mean, there's just certain things specifically, and even for me on the property and casualty side, I know it's for all, verticals within, but I can see the few pieces where I'm like, oh yeah, like Jeff was definitely on the PNC side before. Like I see that. Well, I guess, man, without further ado, let's just go ahead and bring up Pluto, man. I would love to get that up on the screen, allow you to walk us through that. Y'all here within this segment of the show, if you have any questions about the features, about the capabilities, anything like that, please just drop that in the comments. I'm monitoring the comments on my phone. So we're going to go through this together. Allow Jeff just to kind of take the stage and show you guys everything that he's built within Pluto. And as he's pulling that up, just to give my testament, obviously, I am a Pluto user. I was on SalesPype and have nothing but raving reviews about the new Pluto system for insurance agents. So I think,
do me a favor, Joe. Tell me what you see right now.
The first screen you're on was the right one. I'm seeing. Yep, perfect.
You do see? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Move this over here. Are you still seeing it or no?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll just kind of walk you through the system. And I was telling you this earlier, Joe. It's like when I first launched this software 7 years ago, I could do a demo in like 10 minutes. Now there's so much stuff in here. So if I get long-winded or if you're like, don't show me that, just let me know. But my goal is just to kind of give people an overview of how this system can work inside of the agency.
Mm-hmm.
The place I'm going to start here is really just your dashboard. And to me, this is one of the most important places because if you're an agency owner, you have to have an understanding of, where are you as an agency in the month? So you should have goals for yourself, obviously. So you want to make sure that you have something in place to track that, whether it's an agency goal or whether it's looking at your individual producers and seeing, are they on pace? So right here, this is just, you're going to walk in and you're going to see if my goal, for instance, is 30,000 for the month. I'm going to come in and it's going to say, all right, well, here's where you are right now. Here's what you need to close by the end of the day to be on pace. And this is constantly just going to be updating as you close policies. Down here, I tried to also kind of pinpoint some of the most important things that you want to be reminded of on a daily basis. So if you have new leads that have come in that you need to follow up with, they're going to populate right here. If there are sales opportunities that you're working on, right here. Maybe you got some tasks, appointments, things like that coming up today, quickly reference them here. And then it's very easy to miss messages. You think of all the texts you get in a day and emails that you haven't replied to. What we're going to do right here is if you have unread messages that you forgot about, we're just going to give you a quick reminder, and then you can go to the inbox to reply. Down here, this is going to give you a visual breakdown of all the different deals that you're working on. Where are they in your sales pipeline, just to give you kind of a gauge of potential deals you may close this month, total premium you might bring in, things like that. And then Joe, this was for you. So if you're looking for a quick way just to kind of track activity of what's going on with your agents, you could just come in here and pick a time frame. And you could say, well, let's just see how many calls Joe has made today. How many texts has he sent out? How many emails? Has he completed tasks? Has he closed any deals? You could quickly just take a reference point right here, and then you have an idea if they're working or not. Any questions, guys, on the dashboard, or everything pretty clear?
Nice and clean. That's what I like. Like it looks super clean, easy to find what you're looking for. I really like the goal item. I've used a lot of CRMs in my life. I don't know that I've seen that anywhere where it shows like, hey, this is my goal that we're trying to do, whether it's my personal one or my team goal. And then it sits there and shows you like, where are you at goal?
Right.
Sure.
That's pretty dope.
And you can break it down. So like I'm on Jeff right now. If I want to see Michael's, just click him here. If I want to see the agency goal rather than a personal goal, click that.
Mm-hmm.
Switch up between policies and premium.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about, and I know we were talking about just the individual and then also having that agency goal built into that, because I think, when you are operating within a team, one, people can see where the individual is at, but then if they're working as a team, then they're all working for that team goal as well. So it's almost kind of like for that producer, if they're behind, they're like, I don't want to be the reason we don't hit this team goal. And I can see this team goal every single day when I'm logging in. I like that piece of that for sure. I don't see any questions yet in the comments, just FYI, Jeff, but I'll let you know.
Cool. So let's move on to campaigns. And I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit here. So this is where, when I created SalesPype originally, or even in my agency, again, my initial focus was, I just need something that can follow up with new leads so they're not slipping through the cracks. So this was kind of our bread and butter and where we got going. But inside of Pluto, you can create as many different marketing or outreach campaigns as you want. And we're going to track the analytics associated with them, so you know if you're actually getting responses or not. But over here, I'll just quickly show you. I have an entire done for you build out that I can push to anyone's system. So all your campaigns, all your automations, your forums, your triggers, anything you think of that you would typically pay a consultant like $5,000 to build out, I can push a button in the back end of our platform and I'll push it to you for free. So that's all done. But to give you an idea of how a campaign is built out, let's just go into one. And because this was our initial use case, I'm going to say, I need some type of campaign that is going to follow up with my new leads. So we'll just call this campaign new leads. And now down here, I'm just going to choose the communication mediums that I want to use to reach out to these leads. So typically, I'm going to start with a text if a new lead comes through, and I could quickly respond with something like their first name. And we'll say, all right, I'm going to have this go out immediately. So I'm going to start with a text. But then I'm going to move on to, if they haven't responded to me in a few minutes, I'm going to shoot them an email. Maybe if it's a couple hours that pass by, I want to send them a video email. Maybe on day 2, I want to send them a ringless voicemail. Maybe I want to send them a postcard. Say, hey, are you still interested in a quote? I mean, all these things are just kind of built into our system. And I love the fact that we have all the different communication mediums, because you don't really know which medium is going to work for somebody.
Right.
Let's go back here. I'm curious, do either of you guys use ringless voicemails or video emails?
I'm not using ringless voicemails anymore, primarily because my system that I'm using, and I'm using a white labeled Go High Level, and I haven't looked at it in a bit as far as this particular feature, but as I remember, I'm only allowed one ringless voicemail, period, as far as the message, right? Whereas in my brain, there was a few that I would want to be able to use.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that voicemail feature, you can record on the spot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can record on the spot, or you can build out like a library of videos that you can just, use them over and over again.
Right.
Yep.
How about the video email? You guys ever do anything with video email?
Haven't done video email. We do some video text stuff.
Doing
you guys are the video experts. I feel like you guys need to be doing video email.
You ain't wrong, Jeff. You ain't wrong, dude.
I personally love video email just because, think of all the stuff that you do as an insurance agent that's impersonal. It doesn't really allow you to connect with someone. You can't connect in a text the way you can if someone sees you. So the way this works, you can just record right here on the spot, or same thing. You could build out like a library of videos, and you could easily insert them into your campaigns, or if you just want to shoot a one-off message to someone, you could do that as well. So I could build these out. A campaign can be up to 1,000 days into the future. And in this scenario, I don't really have to worry about things slipping through the cracks, because I know even if an agent doesn't pick up that phone, they don't manually send that text, I know that our system is following up with that lead until we get a response.
Yep.
Any questions how the campaigns work, or is it pretty straightforward?
That's pretty straightforward. And again, I like the layout, like super clean based on some of the other systems. It just seems much more simplified as far as if I want to build a campaign and set up those action steps, right? SMS, text, video call, whatever it is. It is a lot more user friendly for someone that maybe isn't hyper tech savvy. And then all of a sudden you give them a platform like Go High Level.
Sure.
Like if you don't know what you're doing in Go High Level, like good luck, man. You're going to have to go learn for a while before you can ever start to really make that system run. Whereas looking at yours, like, and maybe it's just because I've looked at CRMs enough, like I know what I'm looking at, but it looks just much simpler where you could take a less sophisticated user and they could easily come in and start building some really good stuff for themselves.
Yeah,
that's 100% our goal, because I've used all the different platforms before I came here, and there's a reason that tools like Infusionsoft became known as Confusionsoft, and people get lost at, like, there's all these nicknames that are attached to these CRMs because they add so much and they become so confusing. And as great as a platform High Level is, it's not designed for insurance agents or your average user. It's designed for marketing companies. I mean, that's their whole thing.
Right.
And so it's a great tool, but it's overwhelming for your typical insurance agent.
Yeah.
Maybe talk through, I'll get it back on stage here, but talk through some of the integration pieces there. You see like Facebook, and I know you've just rolled out the new Zap features and all that stuff, but just talk through kind of maybe just some of your API and kind of what you talk with, who you talk back to.
Yeah. So in terms of getting leads into our system, there's a ton of different ways you can do it. I mean, you could manually add a contact. You could upload a CSV file, a Google Sheet. Those are common ways that any agent can do to bring leads in. But we'll also connect with your Facebook lead ads, where you could have them drip directly into a campaign. You can use Zapier, of course. I think most people at this point are pretty familiar, at least with Zapier or its existence. And then we have an API as well. So tons of different ways that you can bring things in here. And then just different lead companies that we've worked with over the years. We have set up rules where, if they can't necessarily work with your tech, if they can send an email to us, we can figure out how to parse that email and bring those leads into the system too.
Nice.
So plenty of ways to bring things in here.
Oh, I see Sean Shea. I see you on here, Sean. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Would you say the platform is useful for P&C? Life and health doesn't matter?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't matter. I mean, the only real difference is I probably have more pre-built stuff in here for P&C.
Right.
So it's just a matter of me adding more and more templates for the life and health folks, but everything can work in any insurance niche, really. It doesn't matter. So just the P&C content's a little bit ahead of what I have in there for the life and health people, but that stuff's all coming.
Love it.
So let's move on to the inbox. The inbox, this is where a typical agent is going to spend most of the time in our system. You're sending out all these messages to people. The whole goal of that is to strike up conversations, get responses. Once you do, it's all going to flow into the inbox here. And it doesn't matter if it's a text, if it's an email, if someone's calling you, leaving you a voicemail, all these things are flowing into one centralized inbox. So you're not looking in 20 different places for your communications. And as soon as you get that message, you just choose, how do you want to respond? And of course, we got all those same communication mediums that you can quickly reply back with. Quick replies, these are things, just think of like templates.
Yep.
So if you're an agent, you're probably answering the same 10 questions every single day from people. Don't type it out every time. Don't record a new video every time explaining it. Just build out a library for yourself. And in one click, you can insert your response to people. Over here, this is really everything you need to know about your prospect or your client. So policy data will flow through here if you have it. You'll have all your contact info, emails, phone numbers. You can even validate that information inside the system to make sure it's legit. Any deals you're working on, tasks, appointments. Again, pretty much anything that you want to do with a contact, you can do right here from the inbox. This is pretty straightforward, guys.
Absolutely, man.
Cool. Let's move on to deals. Unless you've been living under a rock, you have seen something that looks like this before.
Mm-hmm.
This has pretty much become the gold standard of how CRMs manage contacts or deals that you're working on, this Kanban or Kanban style. And in my build out that I can offer to anyone, I have built it out with several different types of pipelines. So we have one for sales, for service, for renewals, claims, recruiting, trucking's in there for Joe and your followers, and also a recycled leads a pipeline. But I think the main thing I want to tell you guys is I have something I can push to you, but you can build this out any way you want. I mean, just because I do things a certain way doesn't mean you have to. You can customize these stages, the names. Your sales process may have 20 steps versus my 5. So it's all up to you how you set this up. But it's just a matter of getting all your leads into the system and moving them through those different stages until you eventually win or lose a deal. The thing that's more powerful here is automations that can be triggered behind the scenes when you do the clicking and dragging.
That's what I was just about to ask you. I assume obviously you have it tied in where automation, certain workflows kick off when you drag it somewhere else in the pipeline.
Exactly. So, I mean, just as an example, so this is like a new sales pipeline. So I would have all my new leads flow through in here, and that's going to trigger that new lead campaign. Hey, let's get on a phone call. Can I help you with your quote? That type of thing. All that automated messaging is going out when they're in this stage. Eventually, they make contact. You move them over here. That ends this campaign, triggers a new one. You move them over here. So everything is just kind of moving along automatically and associating itself with different automations and campaigns behind the scenes. Now, one issue I did have, though, so I'm throwing all this stuff inside people's accounts, the whole build out. And because they didn't build it, they're like, I don't really know what the hell's happening because I don't know what the message is. I don't know. So I think like a month ago, we added this little lightning bolt here. And this is just a preview. So you're going to know exactly what's about to happen when you move someone to the next stage. So you're going to see, I move someone here, they're going to end up on this campaign. And then I can just quickly preview and see, what's about to go out.
My favorite GIF right there.
The Shaq one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I definitely overuse that one, whether it's Facebook or here, wherever. That's a little preview option. Now, one thing I will show you as well, you can turn any stage into a power dialing campaign. So if you see this little calling icon right here, and you got 3 people, 10 people, 20 people in that stage you need to quickly reach out to, we have a 10-line sales dialer built into the system. So I could just click this and say, all right, let's launch a new dialing campaign and just quickly get through that list.
Wow.
So powerful for follow-up on that, where it's like, people will look, and I know I've been there just when I was on the sales side of things of, oh man, I got who do I need to call? Who do I need? And it's like, and again, I know we have our task and our follow-up and everything. If you're setting your task and your follow-ups, right? Or it's, hey, I know I need to dial through this because it's sitting in this pipeline. And then just boom, go work through it. And then you can go to your, go to your owner, go to your boss. Like, yes, I worked my leads, right? See, you can see it right here.
I'm curious on the power dialer piece.
Yeah.
So say you did have, however many leads in that thing and you hit the power dialer and go. How do you know which one you connected with when someone does pick up the phone? So
you're going to go to our power dialer and you're going to choose, number one, how many leads you want to call at once. So you could do like 3, 5, 7, or 10. And there's once you start the campaign, there's a screen that pops up and it's going to show you a little box for each contact you're calling. And then as soon as one connects, it's going to drop all the other ones and bring up the contact page for that person.
Contact right in front of you. Cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of insurance agents, like when they think of sales dialers or power dialers, they just think of telemarketing. They think of, hey, I'm going to, smile and dial. I'm going to do this huge list, but that's not necessarily how it has to work. I mean, yes, you could do that in our system, but I think something like this is just, if an agent comes in, they know they have all these calls. It helps to eliminate that call reluctance. Mm-hmm. And rather than them spending 2-3 hours to get through a list of people because they're just getting voicemails, they can quickly get through that list in like 10 minutes.
Right.
And so it just, in terms of efficiency or, a diminishing call reluctance, things like that, it can be a huge help.
Absolutely. I think one thing too, for anybody that's watching, if you have questions, let's see. I don't know. Todd just put a comment. I don't know what that comment is for yet. Oh, he said Tiger Woods. Is Tiger Woods one of the comments up there? Okay.
I have a lot of famous prospects.
Todd goes, Tiger ended up buying the home and auto from Clearview. Sorry, bro.
But you know what? That's actually perfect. I'll mark him as lost here.
Lost into Joe. Lost into another user. But real quick clarification too for anybody that's watching this or catching the replay. This is a full-blown like built out phone system as well too. Obviously, we're talking about the power dialer. We're talking about the inbox and the calls. This is not where you have to go get, like a Ring Central or a Lightspeed VT or anything like that. This is a fully built out, phone system as well. So whether that's through, obviously just making individual calls or sending text messages or anything like that, or something as powerful as that power dialer, again, it's all built into here. And then it's just a pass through of whatever your Twilio cost is, which is, pennies. But I think that's something that's really powerful. You were kind of alluding to it a little bit earlier, Jeff, just, when we go to build and then the tech stack I remember in my Allstate days, dude, I was in Velocify, I was in Agency Zoom, we had Lightspeed VT, we had, all these different systems. It was like 12 different softwares I had to run through once we closed the policy. And that's always been kind of my favorite part with Pluto. And I know what we're working on with EasyLinks where, dude, just consolidate, right? And so that's also been something that I've really liked about it, where I can just log on, man. And outside of the carrier side, I'm pretty much just live in Pluto. So just wanted to make that clear.
No, that's a great point. I honestly, it's been so long since I built this out. I kind of forget that that's unique about us. If you go to, for instance, like Agency Zoom or InsuredMind, there's still things you're connecting. I think Agency Zoom, like you got to connect Twilio or RingCentral or whatever. So you got separate subscriptions. You got to figure out how to make them work. You go to InsuredMind, you want to send postcards. It's done through a Zap. And then you got to go buy a subscription with the postcard company. So these are all things where, no, you don't have to do anything. We did all that. You just got to come in and sign up for an account. And a lot of these things like vendors on the back end, we've absorbed the cost of what it would cost to go say sign up for the postcard company. Like there's you don't pay that, we do. Versus if you went to InsuredMind and you say I want to send postcards, now you're gonna spend $50 a month just to have access to the postcard company. You don't have that with us. So no, that's a good point and probably something I don't really highlight enough. But kind of getting back to the pipeline, before I leave this, I'll just show you the one last thing here. So Joe did steal Tiger Woods, and so I lost the deal. And you're going to lose deals, obviously, but you have to come back to them. You want to try and win them down the road. So if you lose a deal, we're just going to prompt you. What's the reason you lost the deal? Who'd they go with? Give yourself some good notes. So when you reach out to them again down the road, you have some ammo to win that back. But what we're going to do is we're going to throw this back into what we call our recycle pipeline at the date that you choose. So most likely it's going to be an X date, or maybe that a ticket's falling off at a certain day, something that's going to kind of give you a leg up on the competition. You just fill this out every single time. And then when it makes sense to reach out to them, they're going to pop up right there in your renewal pipeline. And you'll be able to see why we put that there for you. Because this screen's going to pop right back up. So why you're reaching out to them.
Strong.
I won't spend much time here, but we have a built-in calendar. You can sync this with Google and Microsoft. We have our own tool similar to like a Calendly if you want to put your appointments online. So you build out as many different online calendars as you want. Of course, your tasks you can throw in here. Your main contact management. I think this is just like your core database of everyone. You can filter these leads, come up with people that meet certain criteria. The same thing, maybe I want to select all these people and quickly throw them in a campaign. Maybe I want to turn them into a dialing session. So there's all kinds of things you can do here. Smart list would be, Tony, you're Medicare, right? That's a big thing for you. So maybe you want to create lists of people that are 65 or turning 65. Well, turn that into a smart list, and then that list is smart enough to constantly be updating to find people that match that criteria. So that is the contacts. Campaigns you went through, quick replies. I won't go too deep into the bulk email because originally this was built for marketers. So if you've ever heard of companies like Lemlist or Mailshake, Instantly, there are these huge companies that are simply just designed for bulk cold email campaigns. And it's not really used much in the insurance industry yet, but this could be a huge tool for agents. Really, the way that we design this is it's built to bypass all those things that are blocking your emails. So it has things to get past the spam filters. It has elements to help you get past those daily sending limits put in place by Gmail and Outlook. I mean, you could literally come in here and you could connect 20 different email addresses to our system, and we're just going to be rotating through those. Email 1 goes from this email address. Email 2 from this one. Tracking clicks, opens, all that good stuff. You can get really fancy with it, but This is more something where I think I need to give a little bit more education to the insurance space to show them how you could actually use a bulk email tool. But I don't want to take up your whole day, so I'll kind of gloss over this part. Joe, have you used the bulk email yet?
I have not. I have not. We will. I'm going to be part of that education round, just with our truckers and stuff. So I'm excited for that.
Cool. Triggers, I won't go in there too much. It's basically just if-then statements. So you want to get a little bit more advanced with your automations. It's kind of like built-in zaps. We could say, if this happens, I want Pluto to do this. And you can come up with so many different scenarios. Of course, you got the phone system in here, make calls, receive calls, set up your voicemail, the dialer. Something that's very useful for teams as well is if you turn on call recording, everything is stored inside the system. So you could just quickly come in here, run reports for your users, listen into their calls to see if do they need some coaching. Are the things that they're saying on these calls actually making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you have all that reporting capabilities. You can build full-blown websites,
that's what I was gonna say.
landing pages.
Definitely show them the website builder because I think that's super powerful.
Let me ask you. I don't know is it switching my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, first, here's like an example of a form. You can build as many forms as you want in the system. Everything is click and drag elements. This is very, very basic, but you could create fancy forms with videos and audio and little buttons for auto insurance and home insurance. You can do lots of cool stuff with our form builder. But then you have a website builder. This website right here, I think it has 12 pages. It took me 10 seconds to build. So come in here and you're just going to personalize it for your agency, maybe tweak some images, things like that, update the logo, reviews. But I can create this again in like 10 seconds. Just click a couple buttons inside of our system. I need a landing page. We have some pre-built, or you can just create your own.
Nice.
I had my team go out and copy some of the top websites out there in the insurance space. And I didn't really say copy. I said, go out, take these as examples of some of the templates I want to put there. They straight up copied Lemonade, Ladder, Ethos. So all those are in the system, and you could just take them and tweak them. I forget which company this was. Actually, it might have said there. This is an Experian insurance website. So the thing I like about these is at least you know that these companies spent a ton of money optimizing to figure out what worked.
Yep.
So you don't have to spend that money.
Yep.
Another example of like a landing page. You want to have a link in bio page for your Instagram page. We got some templates for that, or you can create your own. So tons of cool things that you can do inside of the form builder, landing page, all that good stuff.
Strong, man.
And Joe, with your actually with everybody's setup, so I have tons of pre-built forms too, like auto, pet, life, commercial. All these things are ready to go inside the build out that I can push to somebody's system.
Love that. Hey, Lily, real quick, if you're still tuning in with us, can you drop that link that I sent you in our syndicate chat, please? Just for anybody, if you guys are wanting to take a look at the system as we're kind of getting ready to close out, drop that link if you could for me, Lily, and you guys can take a look at that. As Jeff said, you guys already have kind of a lot of this stuff pre-built, but anything that we've kind of done just within our system, editing and just kind of fine-tuning some of that, you guys can hit that link and then you can message in. We can definitely, we can push that to you. I love the other piece too, where Jeff, like when I have other Clearview agents that have come on, I'm able to push my smart forms to their system as well. So I do love that permission piece as well. But yeah, Lily, if you could drop that in the comments. Yep, I see it there. So if anybody wants to take a look, 14-day free demo as well. And that is now in the comments. I guess real quick, do you want to go through, you want to show them the reports real quick, just where, because again, I think that's an important section as well. And then we'll kind of close out.
Yeah. So let me go in here. So these are your main reports right now. We're going to add like 20 more probably over the next month or so. But first, you're going to come through, just set your goals up for your team and your agency. And then we're going to track your sales reports. Every time someone's on that pipeline and they drag the deal to close, it's going to be updating these numbers. You got team member sales report, you got your policy sales report, sales versus goal. And then again, I have like 20 more on my list. One of the next ones I want to work on is like your marketing ROI report. So you can quickly see, which lead sources are you making money on, which ones aren't you? But yeah, so some work still to go here, but plenty of basic reports you can get going with right off the bat.
Love it, man. Love it. Well,
tons of stuff in here.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop that backstage. Open. Let's make sure we get us back on the actual camera as well. But again, for anybody that is wanting to take a look at that, Lily did drop that link in the comments. Again, you get your 14-day free trial. You can also schedule a demo. Check it out. Obviously, you guys can tell I am a user as well. So if you have any questions or anything like that, definitely hit me up. Jeff, man, as we kind of come to close out here, we've definitely gotten some engagement and everything. Again, Lily, thank you for dropping that in the comments. This is a question that I think I'm going to start ending every show with because I've just gotten some really good responses, and I just love to kind of see where you think. Basically, in 5 years from now, what do you hope people say about Jeff Grimm?
Oh, geez. Yeah, maybe that's a tough one on the spot.
Yeah. 5 years from now, come on. I know that. Well, I know you behind the scenes too. I know what you're building and what you're trying to achieve. So 5 years from now, like with all the work and everything, the blood, sweat, and tears you're putting into this thing, man, like 5 years from now, what do you hope they say about you?
Honestly, I just hope that they say that, I helped them grow their agency. I helped them reach a level of success to take care of their family. I mean, to me, that'd be the biggest thing. I'd feel like I had actually accomplished something. So I just want to have that impact on people. So that's what I would hope for, that I improve somebody's life. I help them grow their business.
Love that, man. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your time, dude. We need to do it more often. Y'all, again, Pluto CRM, built for insurance agents. Jeff is a preferred vendor and a good friend of ours here within the syndicate. Definitely check that out. Lily dropped the link in the comments for y'all. Mr. Merwin, man, just go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, man, that's it. Excellent tool. Thank you again for stopping by. And as always, guys that tune in, like we do this every Wednesday, man. If there's any topics, any thoughts that you want us to cover, any people that you want us to bring on, drop them in the comments. Hit me and Joe up. Let us know. And if these long form videos are too much for you, you don't have the attention span like most people, go find the short pieces on Instagram. We are all over that. Lily cuts all that up for us. So Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, we will see you next Wednesday.
It's the peak of the week, y'all. Don't slow down. And as Jeff said earlier, become a student. Become a student in what you're trying to get good at, and you will get good at it. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day.
You guys have a great one.